In Colombia, violence against social leaders has been on the rise despite governmental efforts. Romania's main teachers' unions hold a general strike that mobilized 150,000 teachers and around 70,000 school support staff to demand better wages to cope with inflation. And finally, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, warned that the children in the Horn of Africa are living through an unprecedented large-scale hunger, displacement, water scarcity, and insecurity. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. Violence against social leaders in Colombia has been on the rise despite governmental efforts, as well as a report shows an increase in violent crimes year on year. According to the foundation Paz y Reconciliación, Peace and Reconciliation, the violence soared in the midst of the struggle for the presidency of the country. In 2022 alone, the organization registered 180 assassinations of social, environmental, and indigenous leaders. They stress that the total peace plan of the current government is affected by inefficient security policies in the territories. Despite the drop registered in the first 3 months of the year, according to In the Past, 66 social leaders have already been assassinated in 2023 in Colombia. In Guyana, the final death toll from a school dormitory fire is 19. Officials said on Monday as outrage grows on the small South American country over the tragedy. The fire department said in a statement that 14 youngsters died at the scene of the incident, while 5 died at the Maria District Hospital. The government had initially set the death estimate at 20. Following the weekend tragedy, more than a dozen children received hospital treatment locally, while 6 serious cases were airlifted to the capital, Georgetown. The fire department also said that 2 children remain in critical condition, while 4 suffered serious injuries as a result of the incident. 63 students were inside the building when the fire broke out. The president, Irfan Ali, said he had ordered that arrangements be made at Georgetown's 2 main hospitals so that each and every child who requires care will have the best possible opportunity to receive it.
Say that this is a horrific incident, it's tragic, it's painful. I cannot imagine the pain right now of the parents, of the children. The full result of what took place is not available yet. That is not the concentration now. Concentration now is on the children and to ensure that we do everything to give them as much help as we can, and that is what we're doing right now. Planes will be able to land. We're setting up an emergency center here. Everything is being set up in Georgetown here to receive the critical children and those who are severely injured.
Let's move on to other topics. The president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, signed on Monday the enactment of the law for the protection of the assets, rights and interests of the republic and its entities abroad, unanimously approved by the National Assembly on May 16th. During his program, Con Maduro Más, the president assured that such a legal instrument will allow to respond with legal and constitutional force to the attempts of steal the resources of the Venezuelan people. He cited as an example of the looting of the nation's assets the theft perpetrated against Citgo. According to the president, Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela obtained $900 million monthly from this company, a subsidiary of Petróleos de Venezuela, which were destined to the social protection of the people. In addition, the president also said that the U.S. government was withheld more than $4 billion of Citgo's annual profits for the years 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022.
We start this change with Deputy Diosdado Cabello Rondon, who has brought us, already legally approved by the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic, has brought us the law for the protection of the assets. rights and interests of the Republic and entities abroad, a new legal, juridical, and constitutional instrument to protect the assets and patrimonies that belong to all Venezuelans. With the power given to me by the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, as President of the Republic, Head of State, and Head of Government, I proceed to sign, to extend the approval of this law so important for the patrimony.
In this context, President Nicolas Maduro Moros accused Dinora Figuera, the president of the 2015 National Assembly, of having received $346 million to finance the opposition's primary elections.
The supposed Dinora Figuera is a political figure. Listen carefully and remember her name, because the great majority of our people do not even know who she is. She is a political leader of Primero Justicia, of the Plataforma Unitaria, and they have just deposited $346 million from a bank account that belongs to the country, to Venezuela. They put it in her hand to finance the primaries, the alleged primaries of the failed right wing, of the anti-patriotic right wing, to finance the presidential candidacies. Whoever it hurts, that is the truth.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news, updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In Brazil, the 23rd anniversary of the Assembly of the Sucuro Indigenous people culminated this weekend, an activity that brought together hundreds of representatives of these traditional people and other ethnic groups. According to local media, the indigenous peoples gathered in the village of Piedra de Agua, located in the city of Pesqueira, in the state of Pernambuco, under the slogan Limolagio Toipe, preparing minds to share the seeds. The Indigenous Assembly was marked by debates, analysis, religious moments and cultural representations, which seeks to broaden the dissemination of the philosophies, traditions and daily struggles of the Sucuro people. Also, the native leaders affirmed that the activity served as a point of reflection and planning for the territorial management of the Sucuro people.
The Assembly serves as a point of reflection, reconnection with our ancestry, but it also serves to discuss, to make our planning in terms of territorial management. We seek to discuss very important and relevant topics for the Sucuro people, such as education, health, and environmental issues.
And a group of far-right lawmakers are opening parliamentary investigation into Brazil's largest popular social movement, the MST, but critics are accusing them of political grandstanding. In Recife, our correspondent Brian Muir has more.
By powerful agribusiness interests, a far-right coalition of Brazilian lawmakers has opened a congressional investigation into the largest social movement in the Americas, the Landless Rural Workers Movement, or MST. Without presenting any material evidence, it's accusing the movement of stealing unproductive land.
The left for took power and criminality is on the loose, starting with land evasions, and the MST doesn't just invade land. They commit crimes of damage, extortion, and threats, and we are going to prove all of this here.
Brazil's 1988 constitution stipulates that all property must serve a social function. Any non-landowner has the right to occupy unproductive farmland and farm a modest plot, normally ranging between 10 and 40 hectares. The MST has used the law to get legal land deeds for over 400,000 family farmers.
The MST guarantees what is in the Brazilian constitution. Unproductive land has to be used to fulfill its social function. The state isn't going to just kiss our hands and give it to us. This is why we have to occupy it as a tactic to pressure the state to uphold the Brazilian constitution.
The right-wing opposition parties don't have enough power in Congress to pass any kind of resolution punishing the MST. So their strategy seems to be to use the investigation as an excuse to damage the image of the Lula administration, which is closely allied with the social movement.
Regardless of this parliamentary investigation, the organizations will continue defending what they believe in. I have no doubts about this. What you want here is a political stage. You lost the election and now you have no stage. You have no issue. So you created an investigation. So you've created a stage for the group of Bolsonaristas in Brazil.
Brian Muir, TeleSUR.
We go to other topics. The main teachers' unions in Romania entered on Tuesday into a general strike that mobilized 150,000 teachers and around 70,000 school support staff, according to the organizers. Romanian teachers demand a salary increase as their pay currently stands at $522 and is below the national average salary of $804. Announcement made by the Minister of Labor, Marius Budai, about an urgent ordinance to increase the salary were not enough to paralyze the union's decision. It was also learned that a draft on new laws on pre-university and higher education entered the Senate on Tuesday in Bucharest, the country's capital. The teachers rejected the government's offers, which they described as welfare, and demanded a substantial increase in salaries. And the president of the Spanish government, Pedro Sánchez, announced on Sunday that he will allocate 38.5 million euros to the autonomous communities to continue developing and deploying the mental health strategy in the country. During his speech at a Spanish Socialist Workers' Party campaign event held in the city of Valladolid, the president mentioned the need to make mental health more visible. Sánchez stated that it is necessary to talk about it, put economic resources into it, and also, above all, not stigmatize it. He also said that they can get ahead and that life is worth living. According to party sources quoted by the local press, the announced investment, which will be approved by the Council of Ministers next Tuesday, 14.5 million euros, will be used to improve equipment in the health centers. The United Kingdom is expected this week to announce restrictions preventing foreign students from bringing family members into the country. The move follows reports that the net migration into the UK has hit 1 million, with Tory MPs asking Prime Minister Richest to take action. UK current immigration law permits defendants to accompany their spouses or parents who have a valid student's visa. The ban will affect all master's students and some other postgraduates, but it will not apply to PhD students who are highly skilled and whose courses last between 3 to 5 years. If implemented, the crackdown will affect many Nigerian students hoping to pursue their postgraduate studies in the UK, as they accounted for the highest increase in the number of dependents accompanying persons with study visas in 2022. Now we move on to other topics. The Inquisitive Committee of Russia on Tuesday opened a criminal case for the incursion of a Ukrainian sabotage group in Belgorod province. The case was initiated on the basis of criminal code of the country, which defines the event in the Graivoron district as a terrorist attack, an attempt on the lives of security officers, attempted murder, destruction and intentional damage to property, among others. The terrorists used artillery and mortar shells against civilian facilities. The region has an anti-terrorist operation law that provides for special measures to ensure the safety of citizens. Since Russia launched its special military operation in Ukraine on February 22, 2022, several border regions, including Belgorod, reported material damage and civilian casualties from shells fired from the Ukrainian territory. And TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries using StoreSat. Dial 461 and enjoy our Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan reaffirmed that one of the main tasks, if he wins the second round of the presidential elections, will be the development of a new constitution. In an interview with TRT Haber TV channel, the current head of state recalled that the country is under the 1982 legislation, which was promoted by the military and is the outcome of a coup in 1980. In this sense, Erdogan clarified that this issue will be assessed first within the alliance of his party, the Justice and Development Party, and then dialogue with other coalitions. President Erdogan also said a new constitution is one of the biggest initiatives in the new era of his administration, and it is a way to save democracy for Turkey. And also, the former presidential candidate Sinan Ogan announced his support for Erdogan in the second round of the elections.
The nation's alliance failed against the People's Alliance, which has been in power for 20 years. It couldn't offer a convincing platform and therefore couldn't win a majority. We haven't negotiated at any stage or asked for any loyalty. Our approach has always been about principles. The survival, welfare, and indivisible integrity of Turkish Republic and Turkish people form the basis of our politics. I would like to underline that we stated our principles, values, and red lines without any negotiation, engagement, or demands. As a result of these discussions and messages from our supporters, I am declaring our support for the candidate of People's Alliance, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, for the second round of the elections. I am calling all our supporters who voted for us in the first round to support Erdogan on the second.
The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, warned that children in the Horn of Africa are living through an unprecedented large-scale hunger, displacement, water scarcity, and insecurity. According to the international organism, more than 7 million children under the age of 5 remain malnourished, in the need of urgent nutrition aid, and over 1.9 million boys and girls are at risk of dying from severe malnutrition. As the region comes out of one of the worst droughts in 40 years, vulnerable communities have lost cattle, crops, and entire livelihoods over the past 3 years of failed rains. While the rains postponed the worst, they have also led to floods, as the extremely thirsty ground is unable to absorb large quantities of water, leading to further displacement, increased risk of disease, and crop damage. On Monday, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari commissioned an oil plant built as Africa's largest oil refinery after years of delays and a week before stepping down from office. Built by Africa's richest person, Aliko Dangote, in the commercial hub of Lagos, the refinery should begin operations in June, with the first products expected on the market by August, though some analysts said it could be later. Once at full capacity, it will have the ability to process 650,000 barrels a day, according to the company. Buhari, who steps down on May 29th after 8 years in office, described the project as a notable milestone and a game changer for the downstream petroleum products market, not only in Nigeria, but for the entire African continent. The presidents of Ghana, Niger, Togo, Senegal, and a representative of the Chadian leader were present at the commissioning. The refinery is expected to meet Nigeria's domestic demand as well as serve global markets, the Ghana said.
That this complex has the capacity to process 650,000 barrels a day of crude, which will enable our country to achieve self-sufficiency in refined products and even have some surplus for export. This clearly makes this event a notable milestone for our economy and a game changer for the downstream petroleum products market, not only in Nigeria, but the entire African continent.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, as always, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.